All right, y'all. Hit the like button, follow, subscribe, enjoy the podcast. All right, y'all. Welcome back. Another episode, Shooting Park Podcast. In February now already, so been a quick month here. Got a lot of golf from this past weekend. A lot more coming up this upcoming weekend. Liv is going to be starting, which will be great. Lpga, PGA, both have events this upcoming weekend as well. So a lot going on. But yeah, let's just jump in. Let's go ahead. We'll talk about the this past weekend. So AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, Pebble Beach Golf Links, California. McElroy was able to win it with a 21 under. Shane Lowry at minus 19 in second. Lucas Glover and Justin Rose tied for third at 18 under. And then Cam Davis, Russell Henley tied for fifth at 17 under. McElroy won in dominant fashion. Played really well on the final round there, which was great for him. He was finally able to conquer Pebble Beach, one of the cathedrals of golf. It's a beautiful course. He had a 3-stroke lead going into the final hole there, so he was able to play a stress-free par, walk one of the most famous holes in golf. It was great for him. He's been playing really well recently, even with his team losing in the TGL, which I'll get into later. He's played really well, so this tournament was his second win in the last 3 worldwide events that he's played in. So he won the DP World Tour last year, won their championship, and then he tied for third in the DP Dubai event this past January. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's also his 27th career PGA win, so he's moving up the ranks there. He's playing out of his mind right now. He's playing probably his best golf that he's played in quite a bit, so I'm excited to see him once the majors come around and whatnot. But yeah, he's playing really well. He had an ace in round 1, 119 out on a par 3, 15th. Again, it just kind of showed it was just his tournament. Shane Lowry also had an ace in the first round as well, so a couple of aces this past weekend for the 2 top guys, actually. So outside of that, Lucas Glover, Justin Rose both played well. Cam Davis, Russell Henley did what they could. McElroy, though, was able to go ahead and get that win with a 66 on the final day. I think he was 1 stroke behind Sepp Straka, but Straka kind of fell apart on that final day. I want to say he shot even par or something like that. He might have even been over on that final day, so he just did not play well. And Rory was able to run away with it towards the end there. But outside of that, Scotty played pretty decently. His first action since the hand injury on Christmas Day, where he was cutting some food and somehow cut his hand or something. Looked a bit rusty, but still played really well. He'll be fine moving forward. He'll end up being in top 5 and be right near the top of the leaderboard in probably every event now moving forward that he plays in, because that's just what he does. Outside of that, also Jordan Spieth came back this past weekend. He played pretty well considering it was his first action in nearly 5 months. Made the cut, played the whole weekend. I was just happy to see him back and playing. He had a couple of bad moments, a couple of good moments. So hopefully, with a little bit of tournaments under his belt again and kind of getting back to playing consistently, he'll start kind of playing a little bit better. But we'll have to wait and see on him. Hopefully, again, him playing more, get a little bit more consistency out of him, and he can start getting towards the top of the leaderboard again. But it's good to have those 2 guys back. Still no word on Xander Schauffele yet on when he's coming back from his injury. Like I said, I think it was last week or the week before, he has that soft tissue rib injury. So that could be, they say 2 weeks, but could be a little bit longer. You just never know, especially a rib injury. Soft tissue for a golfer is kind of a tough injury to have. Outside of PGA, we did have the first Lpga event of the year, the HGV Tournament of Champions at Lake Nona Golf Course in Orlando. Nelly did not take the win here. Lim Kim at minus 20 got the win. Nelly Korda came in at minus 18 in second. Lynn Grant at minus 15 in third. Jin Young Koo and Min Jae Lee both at minus 14, tied for fourth. It was a great event for their first event of the 75th year. So again, also congratulations to the LPGA 75 years. So it's fun that they're going to be celebrating 75th anniversary of them having this league. But yeah, Lim Kim went ahead, got the win. She played extremely well all tournament, holding off Nelly Korda towards the end there. Kim never was down the entire tournament from first day to the last day. She never finished the day where she wasn't in first, so played extremely well from round 1 through round 4. Nelly made a little bit of a push there towards the end, and she tied it up, I want to say, when she was on the 15th and Kim was on the 14th. Kim was the group behind her on the final day. She just went ahead and responded with 3 birdies out of the next 4 holes to ensure that she won the tournament. So yeah, extremely well, out of her mind. This is her 3rd LPGA win of her career, and probably her hardest, knowing that she had Nelly Korda kind of breathing down her back. But lucky for her, she was the group behind Nelly, so she always knew kind of what she had to do on the hole in front of her based on what Nelly did. So she was able to go ahead and do that. Nelly played well, obviously. It was Nelly being Nelly. She did leave a couple of putts out there early on in the event. Just wasn't able to do enough to kind of combat that and capture the first win of the season. But she did put up a 7 under 65 on the final day, so she made a quick push right up the leaderboard there. And again, put a lot of pressure on Lim Kim towards the end there, but she responded with those 3 birdies out of the last 4 holes. So played out of her mind. It was a great event. They played with different celebrities and whatnot. I forget. I didn't really care what the celebrity shot. Didn't really matter to me. I want to say it was one of the hockey players that ended up winning it with a 36 in the stable forward scoring. So, but it was cool to watch, at least. I had a lot of fun watching them play with them and seeing some of the shots that they were hitting compared to the LPGA players. Obviously, the LPGA players were a lot better, and it just shows how extremely good those players are and how much respect that they deserve. But outside of that, we did have one other event this past week. It was the Boston versus Jupiter match, which was actually on Monday night last week, which is why the podcast came out a day earlier last week. Boston versus Jupiter. Jupiter won in the first overtime in TGL history. Really cool to see. It was a great match all the way up until the end. They played extremely well. Tom Kim, out of his mind, and he was extremely entertaining in his debut. Just from, I think it was the second hole, he hit a putt and immediately was talking to the crowd and everything. So he was extremely entertaining. And he really helped carry the Jupiter club into the overtime. And again, first overtime for TGL. He hit multiple putts, though, and he had a ridiculous tee shot on par 3 13th. Put him to, I think, 2 feet within the hole. So he was dialed in. I think he won that hole to give them a 3-2 lead, and then one of the next 2 holes they ended up losing, which is what got to the 3-3 going into overtime. And for anyone that doesn't know, the overtime is it closest to the pin, but it's like penalty shootout. So one player from one team, one player from the other team, whoever gets closest wins that one, and it's best 2 out of 3. So it was cool to see. It was different. I kind of like the overtime because it's quick, and I mean the whole point of this thing is that it's very quick. So Tiger played well, played a lot better than the first time, and Kevin Kistner played extremely better compared to what he did the first time. So, but both of them hit multiple clutch shots to keep the match tied or at least close, kind of leaving them within striking distance to go ahead and tie it up and then end up getting into overtime to get the win. Boston played decently well for their first match in the SoFi Center, but they'll have another chance tonight to go ahead and redeem themselves against LA for that matchup tonight. Boston, LA. You got Boston, Rory McIlroy, Keegan Bradley, Adam Scott, and then LA, it's Tommy Fleetwood, Colin Morikawa, Justin Rose. So super exciting to watch. I'll definitely be watching that again. I just want to see how Boston plays their second time around. Same with LA. It seems like these teams are playing a lot better and playing a lot more, I would say, just kind of strategy golf compared to the first time they're in there. So it'll be fun to watch. But outside of that, we'll jump into golf news from this past week. All right, golf news past week. Luke Clinton, who is the Florida State junior, only needs one more point to earn his PGA card. After another week at the top of the World Amateur Golf Rankings. He'll be playing this weekend in the PGA event. I want to say, let me see what it is. It's the WM Phoenix Open, so Waste Management. So it's a great tournament for him to be playing in as a college kid. So yeah, I would just keep an eye on him this tournament. Hopefully he can go out, grab his tour card, and just get out there and hopefully play really well. Outside of that, I haven't seen much other stuff in the golf news other than Live Golf is back. So Live is back this week. First event out there in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Last season obviously ended with John Rahm winning the individual and Crushers winning the team championships. There has been a little bit of change and movement within the teams and everything with that new relegation thing that they're doing from the 49 to 50 ranked golfers or 57 ranked golfers in their league. There's they potentially can get dropped, but they potentially can earn their way back. I'm not sure. I don't fully understand exactly how it goes, but you're still going to have the top guys who haven't moved. You still have the Vroms, the Shambos, Kepkas, Garcia, Hatton, obviously more. One of the guys who was in the relegation zone last year was Bubba Watson, but he's the captain of the Range Goats, so he's not going anywhere. So some of the new guys in the league, you got Tom McKibben of Northern Ireland joining Rahm's Legion squad. Yuban Yang of South Korea joining Kevin Na's Ironheads. Luis Massavé, I can't say his name, of Spain joining Fireballs. He's replacing Eugenio Chicata, who I spoke about earlier this year, who had left and was kind of left under bad terms. Outside of that, you got Frederick Kittrup of Denmark joining Martin Keimer's Cliques, and then Ben Campbell of New Zealand joining Bubba's Range Goats. Hopefully they can make them somewhat competitive because they were atrocious last year and have been since the beginning. Probably have the best logo in Live Golf, and they are horrible. Well, they had the best logo. I think Legion has it now. But those are all the new guys. And then right now, I want to say Bubba's out with an injury this week as well. So they'll have a random guy standing in for him. I can't remember his name. But hopefully this weekend you'll get to see these new guys play. I would definitely keep an eye on a couple of the exciting young ones. Massavé obviously is an extremely exciting one. The Denmark kid is super exciting. He's very young, good player. And then McKibben is also another one that is extremely young, going into basically their first professional events and whatnot. The Massive A kid was the one that I talked about, who I think was pretty close to getting his PGA card and could have went PGA, decided to go take the money and go over to Live. So it's extremely interesting to see how he plays and everything. Again, this is kind of exactly the route that Chikara took, and now he's regretting his decision. So I'm interested to see how Massive A pans out there, if he's in the cut at the end of this year, or if he, if he's in the top and he can make some money and stay within the league and whatnot, and hopefully doesn't have to worry about earning his PGA card late the way that Chikara has to now. Outside of that, I would say keep an eye on Tyrell Hatton this year. I have him winning an event this year at some point. And for individual champion, I got John Rahm repeating. I don't think anybody's on his level when it comes to the Live players. I don't think DeChambeau's consistent enough. I don't think Koepka's consistent enough. Maybe someone like Sergio Garcia could come out and get a couple of wins. Tyrell Hatton's been playing really well. He won the DP World Tour event out in Dubai earlier this year, the one that Rory came in third. So maybe he can win a few events and maybe get that individual championship. I don't know, but I definitely would say that Tyrell's going to win at least one event this year, but Rahm's repeating as individual. All right, upcoming events for this weekend. PGA, you got the Waste Management Phoenix Open, like I mentioned, at TPC Scottsdale in Arizona. LPGA, we got the Founders Cup in Bradenton Country Club in Florida. Live Riyadh, it's the Riyadh Golf Club out there in Saudi Arabia. And then obviously the TGL Boston versus LA tonight. So exciting. I think there'll be 9 p.m. Eastern tonight, 8 p.m. Central. For the bets last week, I didn't hit on a single one. I had Jordan Spieth top 10. He didn't get there. Nelly Korda almost got me that win, but wasn't able to pull it out. But, I mean, it's hard to do that when Lim Kim is playing out of her mind for all 4 rounds. And then I had Boston winning because I didn't think Jupiter was any good, but apparently Tom Kim changes that team completely. For this upcoming event, I got Sepp Straka top 10 at plus 360. For LPGA and Live, I could not find anything that was going to give me like a top 5 or a top 10 result or something like that. So I was only to pick winners. So I took Lydia Ko in the LPGA to win at plus 800, and I took Joaquin Niemann to win at plus 800. He won the first event last year. He won the individual 2 years ago. So he's a safe bet to at least win an event. And I think he can win the first one. And then I took Boston for tonight. I think Boston's a good team. I think it was their first time out there, and I don't know. I think they'll play a lot better this week. So they played well last week, but I think they'll play even better this week. So I think they earned themselves their first win in the TGL. Outside of that, though, got nothing else. Again, a lot of golf going on. If you can, watch the TGL tonight. It's an exciting thing. Very fast-paced and kind of just entertaining if the golfers want to be entertaining. The guys like Tom Kim and even what's his name this past week, Kisner, like extremely entertaining people when they're playing and when they want to be. So I would just keep an eye on that. Outside of that, go watch a little bit of Live, I guess. Check it out. Keep an eye on the LPGA, and then obviously the Waste Management is always a great event to watch. So we'll see you guys next week.